Hey friends, I have had a few folks recently in response to my last videos ask me to talk a little bit about formatting tips. And I have some older videos that I either have posted or will post in multiple places, but I want to just try to create a very short version answer to that question. And I'm going to do my best to keep it short, kind of from a top to bottom of a resume, what you should maybe and shouldn't do. So first thing that I would want to talk about is at the very top of any document, there's what's called a header section. And usually with a Google document or a Word document, you have to click twice to get in there. I would tell you to shrink that pretty small to like maybe 0.2 inches if you can, or 0.25, because I have learned over the years that with these applicant tracking systems, some of them cannot read whatever content is in that section. So that's been problematic for a lot of people I work with. They're like, I am finding out that nobody's calling me at all. And I say, well, hey, where are you putting your name and your contact information? And they say the header section. I'm like, they probably didn't see it. They don't know who to contact. You might be the best candidate. So that's number one. If you shrink that section, which there's usually a little slider on the ruler on the far left side, if you click it, or you can even go into I think it's the view settings or edit, and then change the margin, shrink it real small. The very first line of text in the actual document. By the way, if you double click to get into the margin or the header section, you can click anywhere or double click to get out, click anywhere else. So in the very first line of the document that's underneath the margin area, that's where you put your name. You definitely should have your name. You should have an appropriate email address. So here now, I can't even help it. I'm talking about content. And I spin out a little bit, but you should have an email address that's appropriate. No sexylady52@hotmail.com. If I had a nickel for every time I've seen something like that, I'd have a lot of money. You should have your phone number. If you have a LinkedIn profile, link that. And then city and state is what you should have, or you can say greater metropolitan, Phoenix metropolitan area. More on content in another video, but your content could be about 10 points of the font size. And when I say about, I mean 10 or 11. You could go to 12. And in fact, if you're a new graduate and you don't have a lot of content to put on your resume, you can have a 12-point font. But if you're a more mature person like me, you have lots of years, we need to try to not have 12 pages. So using a 10-point font size is one of the ways to do that. Your other margins, by the way, so the top, we just talked about shrinking it, but your other margins, I usually put mine at like 0.8. Because I want the frame around my content to be a little bit smaller. I want to give myself as much room for my content as possible. If you are going to use bullets, bullets are fine for the applicant tracking systems, but more recently in the last, I'd say 2 or 3 years, I've learned that some tracking systems can't read columns. So it makes the whole formatting squirrely. And I don't remember if it's for the whole section or the whole resume, but at the very least, whatever bullets, if you had a bulleted list of skills with some here and then some here, whatever's on the right side of the document, at the very least wouldn't get read. So be choosy about your skills so that if you do a single bulleted list, it doesn't look like this long. You have, 4, 5, something like that. But if you use bullets, keep them all the way left. You know how there's a default, when you start using bullets, it wants to indent and take up, total like 6 spaces or 8 spaces before you even get to the word. I would shrink the distance between the bullet and the word and slide the whole thing. In my case, it's to the left. For you, that's probably your right. But we would call that flush left. As far left as it lines up against the margin and the first line of text right above it. For your line spacing, I would do single spacing. For spacing between paragraphs, I would keep that pretty tight as well. Again, I'm talking, all the tips I'm giving you are to maximize, especially if you need to get a lot of content on one page. If you're a new graduate, you can go ahead and keep, and you don't have a lot of content, you can go ahead and keep 1.5 line spacing. You can keep the default spacing, which I think is 12 points between paragraphs. But again, line spacing, paragraph spacing, those are things that you can shrink a little bit if you need that space for your content. And then the same is true with the footer section. Go ahead and shrink that down. If you can, like a 0.2 or a 0.3, so that you can, again, use as much content as possible, unless you're a new graduate. Those are the real big ones that you want to use in terms of formatting. But then I want to talk just a second, I guess this is formatting too, about bulleting, or I'm sorry, bolding and italics. A lot of systems don't do well with bold italics. And just italics in general, I think some systems work and some don't. So if you want to be for sure that the system, tracking system, the ATS system is going to be able to read your document, maybe don't have any italics. And that's something that's changed over time. If you're going to have bold, great. I recommend, with every entry, and by the way, another formatting tip is with each section of information. So whether it's your professional experience section, a related work experience, or related professional experience, or it's a civic engagement section, you're going to have the entities, or even your education section, you're going to have the entity or school name, you're going to have a job title or major, you're going to have some dates, and then you're going to have city and state. However you format that information in one section, you want to copy the formatting everywhere. It just makes it so clean and easy to follow. So for example, this is a question I get asked, Carol, should I bold? You don't want to be willy-nilly with bold and put it everywhere. Otherwise, it loses its value. So I would say either bold the company name or your job title. And here's the question I get asked, Carol, which one should I bold? If you watched a couple of my videos, the answer to that is going to come from what makes the most sense for that employer for that job. Does it make the most sense that you bold and draw attention to your job title? In most cases, yes. We don't need to bold another company's name. On the other hand, if you've worked for some prestigious companies and you want to point that out, maybe bold that instead, but choose. If you're going to bold the company or institution name in one place, then bold it everywhere else, no matter the section. Consistency is key. Okay. And then we talked about italics. I talked to you about, no two-column situation. I think those are the big things for formatting that I can think of. And again, they do change over time, but I will leave it there for now. If you guys have any follow-up questions about formatting, or their resume tips or interviewing or career change stuff, you can join me for my next live. You can just pop on and put questions in the chat, no problemo. Or I have several email addresses for different things. You can email me and I'll talk about them online, or you can put them in the comments below. Lastly, I'll tell you, if you want to join me or have me look at your resume live, I can give you tips for revisions, or I can actually make some edits for you live. If you want to send it to me, I'll put a link below for that. Finally, if you want to participate in any of my career coaching services, you can find them at careercoachingwithcarol.com. All right, everybody, have a good day.